probably the nicest 1998 crew cab 4-wheel drive long bed I have seen in a long time. I used to work on these at the dealer when they were brand new. I always loved these things. Kind of like driving an aircraft carrier. But this one actually drives pretty nice. It's here for an alignment, nothing too major. We're going to see if we can get it sorted out. He's apparently had it to a couple places and hasn't been happy with it. I took it for a test drive. It actually drives pretty clean, but there's like a 5-8 degree play in the steering, or in the steering wheel, which is actually the steering shaft. I'll show you that here right now. This is a 148,000 mile, I would say it's a survivor. It doesn't look to have been repainted. It looks like somebody painted the frame on it at some point, but I don't think that it was a body off, but it's a gorgeous truck. When you're driving down the road, there's a whole bunch of play in the steering wheel. And what that is there's a U-joint that goes bad right at the base of the steering shaft, right at the top of the input shaft for the steering gear. I've seen those U-joints go bad, and this one actually has play in it. But then this is also a slip shaft or a collapsing shaft, so in the event of a front-end collision where you hit the driver's front, the steering shaft collapses into itself instead of pushing the shaft that's attached to the steering wheel through the face of the driver. Not something new. We've had collapsible steering shafts since probably the mid-60s, I think. Late 60s, early 70s, they started doing collapsible shafts. It's just a safety feature, but they wear out, and you can see, like driving down the freeway, that would annoy me, having that much free play in the steering. So we're going to see if we can find either a Borgeson replacement or a factory replacement, because even though the factory replacement will wear out just like this one in another 140,000 miles, it'll be better than what's in here. At any rate, let me get this thing up on the alignment rack. It will fit. Already measured it. I haven't had one of these long beds on my rack for a while, but we'll get this thing up here. We'll check caster, camber, toe, and we'll see if it needs the knockouts removed. These trucks back in the 88 through 2000 was the stretch for this body style, and they had knockouts in the frames that you had to remove to be able to adjust your caster and camber. So if they've never been done, we'll have to remove the upper control arms and do those as well. We'll get this thing on the rack. Oh, big block power. Meets California regulations for 99 model year. This truck was built 10 of 98. So it's actually a 1999 crew cab, or in old square body terms, it'd be a 3+3. It's like the last year with these things. I don't know if they made these in 2000 or not. I know 2000 they still ran the old body style trucks, but I think 99 might have been the last year. So it's a true unicorn right there. Beautiful truck. So this truck is just long enough that my back tires are still on my rear ramps, so I will do my compensation on this truck on the ground, because it rolls the truck forward far enough for me to have it on the plates after doing the compensation, and then I'll jack it up and check all my points. Just one little, process to make the whole program go faster. That's assuming my heads will fit these tires, because these are some big meats. Probably have to use my plates. So our initial numbers, when I'm not blocking the machine, are pretty horrible. The driver's side's okay, passenger side's not. So those are in spec. We're gonna make these match. Toes towed in pretty good. Thrust line's pretty solid, so we're good in the back. So let me check ball joints, tie rod ends, and see if the knockouts have been removed, because that's the big question today. Although this one's on a lift kit, so knockouts are probably not an issue. Knockouts are not an issue because it's a lift kit. If it was a stock suspension, knockouts would be a question. In this case, it's not. So it's just adjusting caster, camber, and toe after I check ball joints. Alright, so after looking at this, I'm going to add some more caster to the driver's side. I'm actually going to reduce my camber on the driver's side. Then I'm going to make my passenger side match that. Like I said previously, I don't have to worry about my knockouts being an issue due to the lift kit. So I'm going to go ahead and start by increasing my caster, which is moving the rear upper control arm in. And that moves my upper ball joint rearward, which increases caster. It will also reduce camber a little bit. We'll do that first. And I didn't get much, but I got a little. I got 3/10 of a degree of caster and 2/10 of a degree negative camber. I'm actually in a pretty good position, and I can't go any farther with the caster adjustment on that side. And I did see that the upper control arm bushings are dry rotted, so it really should get upper control arms installed. But the owner's comment to us was, I just want it to drive straight so I can take it and go play. So if it drives straight with the settings I put in and the upper control arms hold it, then he can go drive it. If it doesn't hold it, it doesn't drive straight, he's going to need upper control arms. That's how it works. So, don't have much adjustment there either. Gets me every time. Oh, right there, my casters are dead even, and my cameras are within 2/10. That's acceptable, but we're gonna still make it perfect. At least perfecter, and then we'll recomp it. That's all she's got right there. 3 degrees caster, 2.8 caster, 4 degrees camber on each side. Let's see where our steering wheel's at. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. Right up in here, the bolt is way far forward because the bushing is actually blowing out. So the upper control arm bushing, the control arm is actually inboard more than what it should be because the bushings are worn out. While I have been able to get alignment settings that are acceptable, ideally, upper control arm bushings or upper control arms as an assembly should be replaced, which usually means the lower control arm bushings are wasted too. Although this has a lift kit on it, but I don't think yeah, you can see the lower control arm bushings are all dry rotted. And you can see here where the control arm is pushing inboard because the bushing's wasted. And same thing here. You can see how it's pushing forward, and the bushing's pushed way out over here. So the arm's inboard of where it should be. And those are the things that make your alignment, not hold your alignment. I've got my steering wheel set. I think I'm going to leave it just like this. With the bushings being this worn, there's no reason to fight the truck for 2/10 of cross caster. It should drive perfectly straight as is. It's well within factory specification. I've got everything locked down. I'm going to actually recomp this one more time just to verify my results are what I think they are. Sometimes when you do a bunch of adjustments on these, you lose your compensation and you end up sending a job down the road that's not right. So I like to recomp them, especially on big lifted or lowered or race car stuff. I'll recomp an alignment of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, depending on what I'm doing and how many times I bump the heads. Because once you bump the head, your compensation is lost. So recomps are important. I know some guys will say, oh, you only have to recomp them once and you should be able to set it and send it down the road. Yeah, maybe. I think I can just roll this back where it sits and redo my comp. So let's try that. Nope, I was wrong. Gotta do it on the floor. Well, I'm pretty happy with that, considering this really should have new bushings put in it. But you see my toes right where it needs to be. My camber's dead even. My caster's within 3/10, so not too bad. Should drive nice and straight down the road. I'm gonna go strip this thing down. We'll get it ready for me to take it for a test drive. Make sure the steering wheel's straight. There's in a slop in the steering because it needs a new lower shaft. It's got a sloppy shaft. It's never good to have a sloppy shaft. Four-wheel Jamboree Nationals 2018. It's going back to line this is a beautiful truck. I can't tell you how much I like these trucks. I worked on them when they were brand new at the dealer. I worked at the it's Reichert now. It was Dan Tobin, it was Dublin, it was Tom Gill. It's gone through a couple owners. But I worked on it originally. I worked originally at a Buick GMC dealer, which was Tom Gill. Actually, it was Oldsmobile back then, so I'm really dating myself today. So Tom Gill, Oldsmobile, Buick GMC is where I originally started working on cars, and then he said, we're not leaving, and then he left, and it became Dublin Oldsmobile for the interim. And then Dan Tobin bought it, and then Dan Tobin just recently sold out to Reichert. So now it's Reichert Buick GMC, and it's also Reichert Chevrolet, because Dan Tobin was able to bring Chevrolet in. That was after my time. But I worked on these trucks when they were brand new. They are a wonderful truck. You can really mess the alignment up on one of these and they handle horribly. This thing's really nice because it's big block powered with hydro boost, so the brakes work well. The vacuum boosted trucks of this era had horrible brakes. This thing's gorgeous. There's not a spot of rust on it. I don't know if he got it out of state, but I would guess he did. But it also only has 148,000 miles on it, so by today's standard, it's just a baby. Beautiful truck. Appreciate him letting me take a look at it, straighten out his alignment. It does actually need a lower steering shaft because it has excessive play in it. It needs upper control arm bushings, lower control arm bushings. Tie rod ends, ball joints all seem tight. But it should hold in alignment just fine. Those are things he can do down the line if he chooses to do so. Or maybe he just doesn't, just wants to leave it the way it is. Some guys do. Looks good with the 6-inch lift. I dig it. At any rate, thanks for letting me work on your toys, guys. I appreciate it. Have a safe day out there. We'll see you soon.